Hello everyone, my name is Dan. My project is titled Why Here? The northern bobwhite pictured here in this photo taken by William L. Farr, who is credited at the bottom here. I just wanted to make sure that I pointed that out because I couldn't get it to just be obvious right here at the bottom. The northern bobwhite has experienced significant population declines throughout the southeastern United States. The Bobwhite Quail Initiative has designated several areas of Georgia as focal areas where conservation efforts are concentrated. So those are visible here. So those are the blue regions right here. These are all in the southeastern coastal plain. There's 10 of them. These are the 3 bird conservation regions of Georgia, by the way. Although most of the bobwhite quail, northern bobwhite, and their habitat, which is early successional grassland and pine savanna, although most of that is in the southeastern coastal plain. Well, let's look at this map. There's not a very high percentage of the observations and habitat are actually within the focal areas. So I was wondering, why is that? Like here, this is probably most of the amount that of the observations and early successional habitat that falls within the BQI focal areas. That's mostly right here. But then there's all these like big patches of grassland areas with like decent amounts of bobwhite observations that aren't in focal areas. So I was wondering why they selected these areas as focal areas. So I looked into why the criteria that the BQI use to classify or to decide where focal areas are, and I ended up making a suitability model here. So the suitability model ends up actually following, for the most part, the same decision making. Like these areas, but the northeast and central and southwest of Georgia's coastal plains, those make sense. Those are like where the BQI put their focal areas, right? But then up here, the reason that that large patch of grassland and bobwhite observations in the northwest of Georgia, or of the coastal plain, was not considered a focal area is because it's not a publicly or privately owned land, conservation land area. So even though it is part of a conservation land area, which is a very important criteria for selecting focal areas, it's part of a federally owned military conservation land. So it's not available for public access. And I'm not exactly sure how the military does their, like, I don't know if they're like really all in on conservation work, but so the results of this suitability model kind of highlight to me that there are more than just ecological and environmental considerations when it comes to conservation decision making. So a lot of the reason that the BQI focal areas are where they are is because of like management decisions that are having to be made, and like who owns the land, how accessible is the land, is the person or is the landowner willing to participate in the, or like is there funding for this, for the conservation programs, because the BQI the way that the conservation programs work is that you basically have to voluntarily participate. If you're a private landowner, you have to get somebody to come over to your property and be like, am I good? And they have to like tell you how much money you have to spend for it to be counted as a conservation land, basically. But yeah, that's it. That's my project. Turns out there's more than just environmental decision making when it comes to conservation decision making. That's it.